Hey everyone, I'm Rod and Todd, a professional YouTuber who makes professional videos, and it's Tuesday, which means it's time for another Transformers review, so here we go. Before we begin, just a disclaimer, this one's going to be formatted quite a bit differently from how I do the other videos, and that we're going to be doing the box first, and then the figures second. So, yeah, strap yourselves in. This is going to be a long one as we have 10 figures to review in this video. So it's going to be a long one. So yeah, let's just get the box in and I'll kind of show you what I mean. So this is the Micromaster Autobots and Decepticons 10 pack. It was released in the or was released as a Target exclusive as part of the War for Cybertron Siege toy line. There were 10 Micromaster figures released in this box set. So I kind of was questioning how to format this. So I'm going to start with the box, and then I'll show you the figures on the back, and then I'll do each pair of Micromasters individually, like how I would a normal review. So, yeah, so here's the front Siege logo. It says Autobots on the side, Decepticons on the other side, Transformers logo, and each pair of Micromasters has their own unique little rank insignia, which is cool. It says 10 figures right there. On the side, you have the names of the Decepticons, Cratermaker and Fireline, Slyhopper and Night Flight. No, that's the back. And then the other side, you have the Autobots. You have Rycon and Iron Tread, Ground Shaker and Overair, and Road Police and Wheelblades. So then moving on to the back, you can see here's the 10 figures included in the set: Road Police and Wheelblades, Ground Shaker and Overair, Rycon and Iron Tread, Night Flight and Slyhopper, and then Cratermaker and Fireline. And each pair of Micromasters combines into a weapon form. We'll be showing that off later. And then it shows here with the Rycon and Iron Tread's weapon mode being held by Red Alerts. We'll be showing off the Autobot Micromasters weapon modes with Red Alert, and the Decepticon Micromasters weapon forms with Spinister. On the top has the Autobot and Decepticon logos of the War for Cybertron Trilogy logo on the top there. And then on the bottom is all his junk. So I just wanted to get the packaging out of the way, since it's kind of... No, it doesn't want to stay up too well. But yeah, I just wanted to get the box out of the way, because we're going to be reviewing 10 figures, and yeah, I kind of just wanted to start with that and get the figures going. So, with the box out of the way, let's move on to the first pair of figures, which will be Road Police and Wheelblade. So, this is WFC-S58 Road Police and Wheelblades, and yes, every single pair of figures in this set have their own unique little ID number, so that's kind of cute. But anyway, Road Police and Wheelblades are redecos of the Autobot Rescue Patrol, Stakeouts, and Red Heat, respectively. I don't have the originals to compare, but yeah, so yeah, but basically they're the exact same mold, just different colors. So we'll start with Road Police. And Road Police's alternate mode is a tiny little police car. It's got the light bar on the top, says police on the back, oddly enough in English, considering there's been other police car Transformers in this line, like Prowl, who have the word police in Cybertronian letters. But whatever, it's just a little Micromaster guy. Autobot symbol on the hood. Got some nice black paint on the bumper. Oddly enough, the front windshield and side windows are painted black, with the rear windshield is blue. I never really noticed that until now. It does have 4 free-rolling wheels, although they don't roll very well on a hard surface, but there you go. So really, it's just a basic little police car. There's really nothing too special about it. I kind of like this. It's one of my favorite Micromaster alternate modes, I think, really. And it just looks kind of cool, especially in white and black, which is better than Stakeout in my opinion, because Stakeout was like all black, whereas this one's much more just white. And I kind of like that, honestly. It just looks a little more appealing to the eye. But yeah, so that's Stakeout's alternate mode. So now let's do wheel blades. So wheel blaze actually is, as with Red Heat, reuses the base mold from Big Shots, or Top Shot as he was really called in this line, but they replace the turret with a little ladder. And so it's basically supposed to be like a Cybertronian fire truck, and the ladder can rotate full 360 degrees, just like with the Big Shot's turret, but it can also elevate slightly. And in a really cool feature, this isn't the entire ladder. There's this piece here. It folds out from the top of the ladder, and bam, you have an even longer ladder. And if you want, you can attach little effects on the end, even though I don't know why you'd want your ladder to be shooting. But there you go. And you can only attach effects when it's in the extended mode. When it's kind of collapsed in, you can't do that. And kind of a complaint I have with this is that it's a problem I had with the Micromaster's Ravage and Laserbeak. I pointed that out in my review. But his axles are just like rusting. Like, they're metal axles and they're just completely rusted. And just so you're aware, I don't think I've ever immersed this figure in any sort of water. So it's probably just exposure to the elements that's been doing this. But that's the thing, he's been on my shelf pretty much ever since I got him in this form, unmoving. So I don't know what the deal with that is. But yeah. So that's stakeout and wheel blaze and their vehicle modes. Yeah, so police car and fire truck, they're cool enough, I guess. So before we move on to the robot mode, let's take a look at their combined weapon mode first. So here is their combined weapon mode. The instructions call this the Power Shot Plasma Cannon. Interesting. And yeah, as with a lot of Micromaster weapon modes, it's just the two vehicle modes mating. I mean, I don't want to sound dirty, but like, come on, that's what that looks like. So you can put that in a figure's hand. So I'll put it with a red alert here, which, given how red alert turns to a fire chief's car and these two are rescue vehicles, I guess that makes a bit of sense. Of course, this is a really long weapon, so it'll make the figure kind of top heavy. You gotta lean him back so it looks like he has back issues. And you can attach the little effects. Just gotta remove the ring from blue pipes here because it won't fit. You leave that on. As I'm pretty sure you can attach there's two little spots here that look like you should be able to. There you go. So there's one there and one there, even though this one does not want to. This one here does not want to hold. This one here you can kind of get it on. It's loose. And as with pretty much every single one of these combined Micromaster weapons, my main problem in it lies in that it's big, it's clunky, and does not hold together well at all. Apart from the jet ones, which we'll get to later on in this video, I do not like the Micromaster combined weapons. I almost never use them. And anyway, because like, for one, your figure won't stand well holding it. Two, it barely stays together. Well, three, come on, just look at it. It's a rectangle. So yeah, not a fan of this one, but it's a weapon mode, I guess, if you really want to display your Micromasters in that. It's a neat little gimmick, I guess, but it's not one that I use too often. So with that out of the way, let's move on to the robot. So here's Road Police and Wheel Blaze and their robot modes. Again, let's start with Road Police. So I'm not going to be explaining who each character is, because this video is going to be long enough as it is. So if you want to find out who each character is for yourself, then just look them up on the Transformers wiki or whatever. But in terms of articulation, he has actually a head swivel. Can't really see it because his head's so small, but look at that, his head can look to the side. That's really it. Ball joints at the arm, so you move his arm out, forward, and he would be able to move it, back if not for this backpack. And then I don't think he has a waist swivel, but then ball joint at the hip, so move his leg out. Yeah. I mean, you would be able to move it forward, not for the fact that it falls off. And ball joint at the knee, so you move his knee kind of backwards and also to the side if I could get his leg to stay on. And yeah, so basic articulation, and as you saw earlier, his legs do not stay on very well. It is very hard to transform him without both his legs coming clean off. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're on ball joints, so you can just pop them back on, thank goodness, but the problem is that you can't even move his legs forward without them popping off due to this backpack piece. Which, I don't know, I don't mind, it contributes to the overall aesthetic of the figure pretty well, but like, I don't know. There's just something about the legs that kind of does it in for me. Vehicle mode's a lot cooler. Yeah, paint apps are pretty good for a small figure. And yeah, so moving on to wheel blaze. He does have a head swivel, I believe, however it's kind of in this box, so I can't really get to it. Ball joint at the shoulders, you know, he can move his arm forward and go back and all that, and out a bit. Then waist swivel, and then ball joint at the hips to move his leg out, forward and back a bit. Luckily this does not pop off. And then bend at the knee. So it's basically the same articulation as Top Shot, just, you know, he's got a ladder instead of a turret. So yeah, I'd say Wheelblaze definitely has a better robot mode in my opinion, and out of these two. The paint apps on both of these guys look really good. I do like the vibrant colors. Contrary to what you may think, I'm actually okay with like neon colors on Transformers figures. Sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. So that's these two out of the way. So now that we're 1/5 into the set, let's move on to the next pair, which are Ground Shaker and Overair. So this is WFC-S59, Ground Shaker, and Overair. So yeah, these two are a redeco of the Decepticon jets Stormcloud and Visper, who were released in Wave 1. I don't have them to compare because I didn't really get very many Micromasters apart from Top Shot, Flak, Laserbeak, Ravage, and whatever's in this 10-pack. And I got a couple guys from Earthrise, but whatever. But yeah, so we'll start with Ground Shaker. So Ground Shaker is... I honestly keep forgetting which one's Stormcloud and which one's Visper. I think Visper was this mold, but I don't remember because I don't own the set. But yeah, so he turns into like a stealth jet, like a green stealth jet. Which, for one, why is he called Ground Shaker if he turns to a jet? I'll actually give you the reason. It's because in the original G1 toy line, Ground Shaker was a Micromaster who came with this massive ATV thing he could pilot. I still think it's a stupid name to name a jet transformer Ground Shaker. It's got some nice paint on the wheels, or not wheels, jeez. Some nice paint on the wings. Autobot symbols there. It doesn't have any wheels, but you know, it's a jet. It's a tiny jet, so it's kind of hard to put landing gear in there. And as with a lot of jets in this line, his little thruster at the back, you can attach effect parts to to make it look like it's... So overall, it's pretty good. I really dig the graphics on the wings. That looks great. So yeah, it was Ground Shaker's vehicle mode. And here is Overair, which I think is another equally stupid name, in his jet mode. And this is much more of like a fighter jet, whereas Ground Shaker is much more of like a stealth jet. It's got some nice paint on the cockpit, some nice lightning bolt designs on the wings. Autobot symbol there in white. And then you can once again attach effect pieces to the back. There's 2 thrusters this time, but whatever. And there's also this one at the back, which is a 5mm peg, so if you want to just have it be one single thruster, you can just shove an effect part in there. Or you could even have it be 3 thrusters and attach 1 in the center and then 2 on either side. Get creative. It has this little black piece, which I guess you could call front landing gear. So that's cool. I mean, it's not retractable like some of the other larger jets, but it's does the job. You know, it stays up pretty well. And of course, as with a lot of Transformers jets, people have this complaint that there's like a big box underneath where the robot mode is, but I don't really mind it as much. Kind of contributes to the overall aesthetic of these guys, in my opinion. So, with the jet modes done, let's move on to the weapon mode. So here they are in their combined weapon mode. This is a sword that the instructions call the ultrasonic shredder blade. And let me tell you, this right here is how you do a combined Micromaster weapon mode. For one, it's extremely stable. It connects with a single 5mm peg, as a lot of Micromaster weapons do. However, this one is actually stable because it's not really hanging off. It's nice and compact for a sword. It looks really good. It's not just a big clunky bazooka thing. It legitimately looks really good. So yeah, this is probably my favorite Micromaster combined weapon out of the bunch, just because it actually is functional as a weapon. And of course, I'm going to give it the red alert here. So you're going to have this absolutely massive sword. It's a big sword, but like it looks good. And I don't know if you're able to attach Lionizer's little effect part. Can you do that? No? Oh wait, yeah, you can. There's a little rectangular peg there. So if you want, you can attach Lionizer's little effect part to make it look like it's kind of coming down. That's neat, I guess, if you want to do that. So, yeah. This sword mode is amazing. I love it. But that's probably the only Micromaster weapon you'll see me have a positive opinion of. So, yeah, with that out of the way, let's move on to the robot modes. So, here they are in the robot modes. Once again, we'll start with Ground Shaker. So, Ground Shaker is actually alright. Of note with these jet molds that for some reason they made it to where the wings are on hinges, so you can either have it with his wings out in robot mode or have them kind of folded back. I honestly prefer both. They both look pretty good. Even though I think the jet mode wings look better out on Ground Shaker than they do on Over Air. In terms of articulation, he doesn't have a head swivel of any kind. He does have ball joints at the arms, or the shoulders. He can move his arm forward and out. Can't move it back unless you fold the wings back. And then ball joint at the hips. You can move his leg out, forward a bit, and back a bit. And then he actually has a bend at the knee, too. And that's kind of what I like about these little Micromasters. They're not like the old Legends class figures from back in the day, to where they didn't really have any articulation besides arms and legs, like a Kenner Star Wars figure. They actually bother to give these guys like knee joints and occasionally elbow joints and stuff. So, for such a small figure, Hasbro definitely put a lot of effort into this. And of course, here's the back, I guess, if you want to look at that. So, yeah, moving on to Over Air. So, as with Ground Shaker, you can fold his wings back. I honestly think Over Air looks better with the wings folded back. It just looks a lot more compact. Whereas Ground Shaker looks better with the wings folded out. So I'm going to be keeping his wings folded back like this. So in terms of articulation, he has ball joints at the shoulders to move his arms out and all the way around if you keep the wings folded back. And then he actually has an elbow joint, which is cool. And then ball joints at the hips, so you can move them out, forward, and back a bit. And then knee joints. So yeah, again, for such a small figure, he has a pretty good range of posability for such a small size. And yeah, something cool about this figure is that the rear thrusters form his arms in robot mode, so he has arm cannons. This actually looks cool. I don't think I've ever put the effect pieces on this, but yeah, he has arm cannons. There you go. So that's Over Air and Ground Shaker. I like these guys quite a bit. I mean, they're not my favorite Siege figures by any means. That's still wrong. But, yeah. These figures are alright, I guess. I mean, they're probably the best Micromasters released in the set. So, yeah, if I can get Ground Shaker to stand up, what's the deal, dude? So, that's Over Air and Ground Shaker. So, with them out of the way, let's move on to the next set of two, which will be Rykon and Iron Tread. So, this is WFC-S60 Rykon and Iron Tread. They're retools of the Autobots High Jump and Power Train, respectively. So, yeah. So let's start with Rykon. So Rykon turns into like this red off-road Jeep van thing. Yeah. So he's got large Autobot symbol on the hood. Some nice paint apps on the front there and on the side. Yeah. Even the back windshield's painted. Heck, this is better than some of the old Universe figures can say, where they either just left the windows unpainted or like painted the front windshield but left the others unpainted. Oh, and the little sunroof on the top also has some paint. They did not skimp on paint apps for these figures. He's got yellow stripes on the side, which kind of makes him look like Ironhide, who's also a red van with yellow stripes. The wheels are supposed to roll freely, but they don't do that on a hard surface like this. But they are supposed to roll. You can't see it moving like that. Yeah, they don't roll too good. So, yeah, he also has this little, like, I guess, winch thing on the top. I don't really know what that's supposed to be, but it looks good. So, Rykon actually has a pretty solid alternate mode. I didn't really have the highest opinion of these guys, but kind of taking a second look at them now, they're actually a lot better than I remember. So, yeah, so that's Rykon's alternate mode. And moving on to Iron Tread's alternate mode, it's a nice semi-truck thing. Large Autobot symbol on the hood. Again, the wheels are supposed to roll, but they just choose not to today. Yeah, he has one smokestack for some reason. And as with a lot of the other six-wheeled vehicles, he only has 4 real wheels and these 2 here in the front. They're fake, they don't spin, but these ones in the back do, and these ones up in the very front do as well. So that's kind of disappointing, but whatever. So, yeah, I kind of like the semi-truck look. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it works. I just wish, these would actually roll. For something called the Off-Road Patrol, they certainly only seem to work when they're whatever. I don't know. But, yeah, so this is a Rykon and Iron Tread in their vehicle mode. So moving on to the weapon mode, which is quite possibly the worst of the bunch. So here's their weapon mode. Once again, it looks like 2 vehicles mating. I do kind of appreciate that they tried to make this a little more compact than Wheelblaze and Road Police's weapon mode, but this has the same stability issues. I can really show that off, though, first without giving it to Red Alert, because it's really, the stability issues only show themselves once you put it in the figure's hand. For one, of course, it makes the figure extremely top-heavy. You gotta give him back issues again. But see, all the weight in this weapon is in the front, and the peg is at the very back. The little handle flips out from a little hidden compartment inside Rykon, and it's on a hinge. And since all the weight is in the front of the weapon, it droops. Yes, by the way, I forgot to mention the weapon name. The instructions call this the dual port scrape grinder, whatever that's supposed to mean. But yeah, my main problem lies in the fact that one, it again looks like 2 vehicles just mating, and 2, yeah, it droops. It's really hard to get it to stay upright in a figure's hand. or at least completely upright. You can kind of get it to look like this, but like this is how it's supposed to look, and then it still just droops because it's so heavy in the front. And of course, you can also mount the little effects on the end, but why would you want to do that? This is a horrible weapon mode, solely because of that. Like, it definitely, I think it holds together a bit better than Wheelblaze and Road Police's gun mode does, but it just, since it droops in the figure's hand, it just does not work for me, and I do not like this weapon mode one bit. So, yeah, with that out of the way, let's move on to their robot mode. So here is Rykon and Iron Tread in their robot modes. Let's start with Rykon again. So, yeah, in terms of articulation, Rykon has a ball joint at the shoulders. Move his arm out and forward and not really back, but whatever. Waist swivel, actually, that's kind of impressive. And then ball joint to the hips, so you move his leg out, forward, and not really back. And then knee joint. So that's really all for Rykon's articulation. As you saw when I had the figure turned to the side, main problem with this, it's very back heavy. So basically, the entirety of the vehicle mode ends up on his back, which I'm normally not not I don't mind it as much when Transformers figures do this, just so long as they actually do something with it. Like if it's like a Chromia or Siege Optimus Prime, where they put a good chunk of the vehicle mode just in a random backpack, but it looks good, like it actually is aesthetically good to look at, I'm fine with it. But when it's like this, yeah, now we have a problem. And of course, again, it makes the figure pretty back heavy, so you gotta, lean him forward a bit, and it looks stupid. So, yeah, not really a big fan of Rykon's alternate mode. I'd say, or not alternate mode, but his robot mode. I'd say his vehicle mode is probably the best out of his three modes. So, let's get this train wreck out of here and just move on to Iron Tread, who I think is a lot better. For one, he's proportionate, which is more than I can say for Rykon, his long arms. But, yeah, in terms of articulation, ball joint shoulders, move his arm forward and out. Can't really move it that far back. Does he have a waist swivel? Ball joints and knee or hips, so he can move his leg out and forward, back, and also knee joint. So again, I do like that they pack articulation into these figures, even though they're like this big. It's a tiny figure. So, yeah, I like this one a bit better than Rykon. It's not my favorite robot mode out of the bunch. I don't know, I'm just not really a big fan of the Micromaster figures in general. But, yeah, it's good. It's alright. Certainly better than Mr. Back issues over here. But, yeah. So that's Iron Tread and Rykon. I'm not even going to try and stand him up at this point. So, yeah. Moving on to the first of the two Decepticon sets, we have Night Flight and Sly Hopper. So, this is WFC-S61, Night Flight, and Sly Hopper. So, yes, these are once again redecos of Stormcloud and Visper, which I'm personally glad that if they had to use the same set of two twice in one set, that this is the set of two they went with, because I really like these guys. I actually prefer these over Air and Ground Shaker just because they have more subdued colors, but let's just move on. Start with Night Flight. So it's the same stealth and jet as Ground Shaker, just bright white, but I honestly like this. I just think it kind of works. And of course, once again, you can attach the little effects there to make it look like it's Decepticon symbol right there on the front. And of course, yeah, so it has less paint apps on the wings than a Ground Shaker does. That's kind of a I don't know, knock on it, I guess. But at the same time, I really like it. I think the bright white actually kind of works. So yeah, it's cool. Moving on, we have Slyhopper, or Skyhopper, as he was originally called, but they had to, I guess, lose that name to copyright, and now it's Slyhopper. And I think they've done it. I think this is my favorite one out of the entire set of 10. I really dig the gray and like dark turquoise colors and the purple, and it got some really great paint apps on the wings. And I love it when they put Decepticon symbols or Autobot symbols on the wings of a jet mode. That always looks great. Instead of just having it randomly like in the middle. Just having two of them on the wings, that always looks great. But yeah, I really dig like the gray and black and all this. This just looks great. And of course you can still attach the little effect parts on the end there and the little middle section there. So yeah, and also something I forgot to mention with the over air is I think you can fit effect parts. No, you can't. I guess you can do this. But yeah, I thought you could fit them here to make it look like the little guns on the end are shooting, if that's what those are supposed to be. So, yeah. Night Flight and Slyhopper, awesome jet modes, really just because of the colors. These are an improvement on Ground Shaker and Over Air in every single way. So with that out of the way, let's move on to the weapon mode, which is the exact same as Ground Shaker and Over Air's weapon mode. You know, I actually lied when I said that this was the exact same as Ground Shaker and Over Air's weapon mode, because the instructions actually call this the dual-edged Soundbreaker sword. Don't ask me what makes it different from the ultrasonic shredder blade, considering it is the exact same weapon, just in different colors. But again, the colors work so well, and the sword mode is once again amazing. This is the only good Micromaster weapon mode, in my opinion. Of course, if you want, you can attach the little effect pieces at the end. And I gotta give this to a Decepticon, so Spinister, get out here. I only chose Spinister because looking back on it, I don't really have very many deluxe class Decepticon figures because they're all Voyagers. So, yeah, Spinister. There he is with Night Flight and Slyhopper in their weapon mode. I mean, this piece isn't included, but, you know, whatever. It's just, you gotta buy this separately. You gotta buy this little part separately. So, yeah. Once again, amazing weapon mode. Colors work very well, and, yeah. So, with the weapon mode done, let's get to the robot mode. So here's the robot modes. Once again, we're going to start with Night Flight. And something I like about these two is that they actually bothered to put an extra paint app on the insides of the wings. They're going to give them this nice little look here. So it's some red on the insides of his wings. And of course you can fold those back if you want. Personally, I think he looks better with them folded out. So I'm just going to leave him like that. Same articulation as Ground Shaker, ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed hips, and knee joints. Except this one falls off, okay. So yeah, I don't really have much to say about this figure that I've already said about Ground Shaker, except that the colors are amazing. I like the blue and the black and the red. There's a little bit of silver in there too, and these little missile things on the side of his head. It looks just overall great. So, yeah, that's Night Flight's robot mode. So on to Slyhopper. And again, there's a reason why I keep saying Slyhopper is my favorite figure in the bunch. It just, the colors are so great. And again, as with Night Flight, they added some paint on the insides of his wings to make it look like, you know, just give it much more of a better look. And I kind of dig the turquoise here. And of course, you can fold those back, and this looks 10 times better like that. Same articulation as Over Air, ball jointed shoulders and elbows, and hips and knees. So yeah, same thing, nothing new there. But just, you know, again, colors are 10 times better, and of course you can put the little effect parts on his arms to make it look like they're arm cannons or whatever. So, Yeah, Night Flight and Slight Hopper are without a doubt my favorite figures in the 10 pack. Probably my favorite Micromasters that Hasbro's even released. They're just good figures overall. So, yeah, with them out of the way, let's move on to the final set of two, which are Crater Maker and Fireline. So here is Crater Maker and Fireline. These guys are straight redecos of Top Shot and Flak, which are figures I actually have. However, I'm not going to bring them down to compare. But basically, you just got to know Crater Maker is Flak, but in bright blue, and Fireline is Top Shot, but in a darker shade of brown, and with the tan colors replaced with green, and also a bit of black in there. So we'll start with Crater Maker. I think this is probably my favorite out of the two vehicle modes. I actually really dig the bright blue. And I kind of dig how the little missiles on the little missile box thing here are actually painted in red, which is something Flak didn't do. So yeah, they're definitely not skimping on the paint applications. Compared to the mass retail Micromasters, these exclusives definitely have more of a premium feel to them. Of course, it's a tank, like a missile thing, a missile launcher, I guess. The treads aren't real, there's some fake wheels underneath. It doesn't roll too well. Decepticon symbol on the front there. It's a nice little sculpted armor detail and all that. It's a diminutive little tank, but it works. That tiny little guy. But yeah, so that's Crater Maker's tank mode. So here's Fireline's thing. It's like a mobile artillery thing. As with Top Shot, it has these like fake sculpted wheels here, but those aren't real. Those are just where his ball joints, where his arms are. And he hasn't really been having the rusting problem that Wheelblaze has, despite them being almost the same mold, just with a turret instead of a ladder. Of course, the turret can rotate a full 360 degrees and elevate a bit. And you can put the little effect parts there on the end so you make it look like it's shooting. Windshield's painted in, got some little green there in the front. Tiny little Decepticon symbol on the turret. Yeah. So, I'm not really a big fan of the Top Shot and Flak molds in general, but I think these two are actually pretty good. Just the colors really pop for me. I still prefer Night Flight and Sly Hopper just because they have better colors, they're more subdued, but I do dig these loud colors on these guys, especially on Crater Maker. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at their robot mode. So Top Shot, or no, Flak, not Top Shot and Flak, Crater Maker and Fireline, the same molds, just different characters. So basically just the exact same weapon mode as that, but in different colors. And the instructions call this the Gravitronic Rebel Maker Cannon, which don't ask me what makes that different from Top Shot and Flak's Electro Verge Neuroblaster, considering, you know, it is the same weapon, just in different colors. Once again, just looks like two vehicles are mating. Again, I don't want to sound dirty like that, but that's what it looks like. As with Top Shot and Flak, I do think it's really creative that they made the turret from Fireline become the handle for the gun mode. Of course, you can give this to a Spinister. Doesn't look that bad when you pose it like this, but stability problems arise, especially on Crater Maker here. You can just do that randomly. I think it holds well, or holds better than Top Shot and Flak did. I don't know if that's because this is a limited run exclusive and Top Shot and Flak were mass produced, or were produced in bigger numbers, but I don't really know. But yeah, I still don't like the sheer size of it. It just looks stupid, all things considered. And of course, if you want, I showed this off earlier, you can put the little effect pieces there. However, as with Flak, it doesn't stay in very well. It has really shallow pegs, and it just doesn't work. So, yeah. So that's Crater Maker and Fireline's gun mode. So let's just move on to the robot mode. So here is Crater Maker and Fireline of their robot modes. Let's start with Crater Maker. So they actually decided to get creative with this. As with the Iron Tread, they decided to actually give Crater Maker a brand new head, which is different from Flax. This is a lot more of a square head, whereas Flax is a bit more rounded. So that's cool. In terms of articulation, Crater Maker can move his arms out, the shoulders, ball joints, all that, and then ball jointed hips, all that, and knee joint. Personally, Crater Maker and Fireline don't really have any basis in Transformers media, so I actually like to view Crater Maker as female. I don't know why. I think it's just the blue and white kind of work a little bit better for a female Transformer than a male Transformer, but I kind of like to envision Crater Maker as like Strika from Beast Machines. It's a female Transformer, but it's like a really tough as nails, awesome female Transformer, not like Alita 1. But yeah, that's just my opinion. They never really gave a specific gender for the character, so there you go. And then Fireline, they actually decided to get kind of clever with this one and reuse the head from Red Heat, which they also reused for Wheelblaze, instead of Top Shot's head. So I kind of like how they actually acknowledge that Red Heat is just Top Shot with a ladder. So yeah, same articulation as Wheelblaze and also Top Shot. Ball jointed shoulders. You can move them kind of forward and back and out a bit, and then waist swivel, and then ball jointed hips. Okay, but that just came off fantastic. But ball jointed legs, you can move them out, and knee, and the head can also swivel, but again, it's in that little box thing, and I don't dare go near that because my fingers are too big; they can't really fit in there. He retains the same quirk with a Top Shot, in that you can rotate the turret all the way up and just fold that down to give him a little weapon. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but you can do that. That's kind of cool. There we go. It has a little gun backpack. I actually think this kind of works. Looks pretty decent. So, yeah, that's Crater Maker and Fireline. Basically the same as Top Shot and Flak. I think I like Crater Maker a little bit more, but whatever. These are just okay figures. So, that is the Micromaster 10-pack. Let me just get all them up here. If I can get you to stand. How is he still standing when he's like that far off the ground? Whatever. Okay, I'm just gonna cut away and they're gonna be magically lined up. The power of the editing. So here's the Micromaster 10-pack, all 10 figures lined up like bowling pins. Just so you're aware, it took me like 3 minutes to get everyone standing long enough for this to work. So, I didn't really think I was going to do this going in, but I decided to do like a final ranking of each pair of figures. So I'd say at the top of the list, Nightblight and Slyhopper, and then Overair and Ground Shaker, followed by, I'd say, Crater Maker and Fireline, Wheelblaze and Road Police, and at the very bottom, Rykon and Iron Tread. Rykon being the absolute worst figure in the set. So, yeah, I wouldn't really know who to recommend this to, because all of these are really obscure Transformers characters. And it's a Target exclusive, so it was kind of hard to find back a couple years ago. So I only picked it up because I really liked the vibrant colors. Yeah, I know, that's the only reason why I own this set. So, yeah, if you want to pay money for it on eBay, I guess go ahead, but honestly, if you don't really care, you can just skip on it. This is nothing essential, just a cool little gift set of Micromasters. So, yeah, that's my review of the Micromaster 10-pack. There's a varying range of quality within the set. Of course, the Jets being top-notch, and these guys sucking really bad. So, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you do, if you did, like, subscribe, and all that. And actually, stay tuned right now. We're going to do a special little thing. Right now, that'll be the real end of this video. So, with the Micromaster 10-pack out of the way, our look at Siege comes to a close. Believe me, there are a lot of figures I skipped. A lot of figures I skipped. And so, yeah, that's Siege done. We're officially 1/3 of the way through Transformer Tuesdays. So tune in next week as we review the Walmart exclusive Netflix line, the first wave of Netflix figures, starting with the Decepticon Seeker Hotlink. Yeah, so this has been Rod and Todd signing off.